The red sun of Proxima Centauri cast long shadows across New Hope Colony as Dr. Elena Reyes finished packing her research equipment. Another day of studying the native crystalline life forms was complete. Elena tucked a strand of dark hair behind her ear and glanced at her watch. It was almost time to pick up Maya from the colony school. Dr. Reyes, the Proximian representatives are requesting to move tomorrow's cultural exchange to today. Her assistant Thomas looked up from his tablet. They say their elder crystal is in the perfect alignment for the ceremony. Elena sighed. She had promised Maya they would watch the sunset together from the colony's observation deck, a small tradition they had maintained since arriving on this alien world 6 months ago. But as the colony's lead xenobiologist, her responsibilities came first. "Tell them we'll be ready in an hour," she said. "And please call the school. Tell Maya to meet me at the exchange plaza instead of the lab." 30 minutes later, Elena was arranging ceremonial items in the colony's central plaza, an open area where humans and Proximians could comfortably interact. The Proximians, tall, crystalline beings whose bodies refracted light in dazzling patterns, preferred the open sky to enclosed human spaces. Maya arrived, her school backpack bouncing as she ran toward her mother. At 10 years old, Maya had adapted to life on Proxima Centauri B better than most adults. Her natural curiosity made her a favorite among the Proximian moderates who found human children fascinating. "Mom, we learned about Proximian light speech today." Maya's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Ms. Patel says I'm picking it up faster than anyone." Elena smiled, feeling the familiar mixture of pride and sadness. Maya had her father's quick mind. Admiral Javier Dominguez was stationed back in the Sol system, commanding Earth's defense fleet. Their marriage hadn't survived the strain of military life, but they remained connected through their brilliant daughter. "That's wonderful, sweetheart. You can practice today. The Proximians have moved the cultural exchange to this afternoon." Elena handed Maya a small brush. "Help me clean these artifacts. They're bringing their sacred crystal shards." Maya carefully dusted off the human items selected for the exchange: a violin, old paper books, a collection of seeds from Earth, and a small statue of 2 human hands clasped together, representing friendship. The colony's diplomatic team had selected items that demonstrated humanity's artistic and nurturing nature. As the sun reached its lowest point in the alien sky, the Proximians arrived. Their tall, angular bodies glittered as they moved, making musical tones that Elena had learned to recognize as formal greetings. Maya waved excitedly at Shimmer of Truth, a Proximian scholar who had taken special interest in teaching human children about their culture. What Elena didn't notice were the subtle light patterns flashing between certain Proximians at the edge of the gathering. The Purists, a faction that considered human presence a contamination of their world, had infiltrated the ceremony. Their leader, Sharp Edge of Purity, had been planning this moment for weeks. The ceremony began peacefully. Human representatives presented their artifacts while colony translators explained their significance. The Proximians displayed their sacred crystal formations, each containing thousands of years of stored light memories. Maya stood respectfully beside her mother, watching everything with wide eyes. When Shimmer of Truth beckoned her forward to touch one of the smaller crystals, a great honor, she looked to her mother for permission. "Go ahead, sweetheart," Elena nodded. "Just be very gentle." Maya approached the crystal display with careful steps. The translation team had explained to the humans that some crystals contained the collective memories of entire Proximian family lines. The gathered Proximians hummed with light as Maya reached out. What happened next occurred in mere seconds, but would change the course of human-alien relations forever. Maya's hand brushed against the sacred memory crystal, which emitted a pleasant chime. She smiled, turning to look back at her mother. In her excitement, she took a step back and bumped the display table. One ancient crystal, the oldest and most revered, teetered on the edge. "Maya, careful," Elena called out, rushing forward. Maya reached to steady the falling crystal, but it was too late. The priceless artifact shattered on the stone floor, its stored light memories dissipating in a flash of colored sparks. A collective wail rose from the Proximians. Shimmer of Truth moved, protectively toward Maya, recognizing the accident for what it was, but the purists seized their moment. The human offspring destroys our history. Sharp edge of purity's light patterns flashed in jagged, angry bursts. This contamination must end. The surveillance drones hovering above the plaza captured everything that followed. These feeds, broadcast live to Earth as part of the cultural exchange program, would later be viewed billions of times across human space. Sharp Edge of Purity and 6 other purists extended their arms, crystalline shards elongating into deadly spikes. They rushed toward Maya, who stood frozen in shock beside the broken crystal. Elena didn't hesitate. The mother moved faster than seemed humanly possible, placing herself between the charging purists and her daughter. "Run, Maya!" Elena shouted, pushing her daughter toward the emergency tunnels that led back to the main colony. "Get to shelter, call your father." Maya stumbled backward, then turned to flee as the first Proximian reached her mother. The drone cameras captured it all, Elena standing firm as crystalline blades pierced her body, her face showing not fear but fierce determination. She managed to stay upright long enough for Maya to reach the tunnel entrance, her white lab coat blossoming with red stains. Just before Maya disappeared into the safety of the tunnel, Elena called out one last time, her voice weaker but still picked up by the drone's sensitive microphones. "Tell your father I love you both. And Maya, this isn't their fault. Remember what I taught you." Then Elena Reyes collapsed to the stone plaza floor, the light fading from her eyes as her daughter vanished into the emergency tunnel, clutching her mother's research tablet that had fallen from Elena's pocket during the attack. The drones continued, broadcasting as the purists turned from Elena's body and began pursuing the escaped human child. Other Proximians, including Shimmer of Truth, stood in shocked stillness, their light patterns dim with horror at what had just occurred. Back on Earth, the live feed from Proxima Centauri cut to emergency broadcast mode. But it was too late. Billions of humans had just watched one of their own die protecting her child on an alien world. And humanity's response was already beginning to form, like a gathering storm. In his command center aboard the Earth Defense Force flagship Judgment, Admiral Javier Dominguez stared at the frozen image of his ex-wife's final moments, his daughter's terrified face, and made a decision that would set Earth on a course from which there would be no return. Admiral Javier Dominguez couldn't tear his eyes away from the screen. The footage played on loop, Elena pushing their daughter to safety, her final words, her fall. Each time he watched it, something inside him hardened like cooling metal. "Sir?" His executive officer, Commander Lin, stood at attention beside him. "Communications from United Earth Government Headquarters. They're demanding you respond." Javier finally looked away from the screen. The command center of the EDF Judgment hummed with tense activity. Earth's most advanced warship wasn't supposed to launch for another week, but that timeline no longer mattered to him. "Tell them I'm busy," he said, his voice flat, "and bring up the colony schematics." The holographic display in the center of the command deck shifted to show New Hope Colony's layout. Maya would be in the emergency tunnels if she was still alive. The thought made his hands shake. "Status report on the colony," he asked. Commander Lin's face tightened. "Communications are down. We've lost contact with all colony personnel. The last automated emergency beacon indicated Proximian forces had breached the main habitat dome. On screens around the command center, news feeds showed the public reaction across Earth and its colonies. Crowds had gathered in major cities. Some people held candles, others shouted for action. Elena Reyes hadn't just been a scientist, she had been a symbol of humanity's peaceful expansion to the stars. Javier's personal comm unit buzzed. He checked it. A message from President Kwan. "Admiral, I understand your pain. Elena was a hero to all of us, but you must not take independent action. The diplomatic corps is already in contact with the Proximian Central Cluster. We need time for diplomacy." Javier closed the message without responding. The president's caution might cost Maya her life, if she wasn't already gone. He couldn't bear that thought. "Commander Lin, what's our combat readiness?" The woman hesitated only briefly. We're at 94% readiness, sir. Not fully stocked on all munitions, but all systems are operational. And the jump drive? Dr. Castillo says it's ready for testing, but not for field deployment. The long-range jump to Proxima Centauri hasn't been approved by... I'm approving it. Javier cut her off. He stood up straight, making his decision. Prepare the ship for immediate departure. The command center fell silent. What the Admiral was suggesting wasn't just against protocol, it was against direct orders. Sir, Commander Lin lowered her voice. That would be considered an unauthorized military action. The consequences. I'm well aware of the consequences, Commander. Javier's dark eyes swept the room, taking in the faces of his crew. I'm not ordering anyone to follow me. This is my choice. I'll take full responsibility. He pressed a button, activating the ship-wide communication system. Attention all personnel of the EDF Judgment. By now you've all seen what happened on Proxima Centauri B. My daughter, Maya Dominguez Reyes, is still on that planet, along with 157 other colonists. The United Earth government is pursuing diplomatic channels. He paused, letting his words sink in. I am not. I am taking this ship to Proxima Centauri, with or without authorization. Any crew member who wishes to remain behind will receive no mark on their record. You have 30 minutes to decide. He released the button and turned back to the colony schematics, studying the emergency tunnels where his daughter might be hiding. Commander Lin leaned closer. Sir, even with the experimental jump drive, it will take us 3 days to reach Proxima Centauri. Then we'd better leave now, hadn't we? Javier replied. 30 minutes later, Javier stood at the main viewport, watching as Earth grew smaller. Not a single crew member had left the ship. Instead, personnel from other vessels had tried to board, so many that security had been forced to lock down the access points. Admiral, called the communications officer. We're receiving messages from other ships. On the main screen, captains of vessels across Earth's defense fleet appeared one after another. The EDF Vigilance stands with you, Admiral. The EDF Shield is experiencing navigation system difficulties. We seem to be following your trajectory. EDF Protector reporting similar malfunctions. Somehow we're right behind you. Javier watched in stunned silence as the messages continued. 5 ships, then 12, then 27. All experiencing the same mysterious navigation errors that led them on a course to Proxima Centauri. Commander Lin checked her console. Sir, we have 34 ships now signaling they're joining our unauthorized training exercise. A tight smile formed on Javier's face. It seems we have a fleet. Sir, the communications officer interrupted. Priority message from President Kwan. The president's face appeared on the main screen, her expression severe. Admiral Dominguez, you are hereby ordered to return to Earth orbit immediately. This unauthorized action threatens years of diplomatic relationships and puts Earth at risk of interstellar incident. Javier stood tall. Madam President, with all due respect, I watched my ex-wife die protecting our daughter. Maya is still on that planet. I'm going to get her and the other colonists out. You're risking war, Admiral. No, Madam President. I'm responding to one. The Proximians drew first blood. President Kwan's expression changed subtly. Javier, listen to me. The Council is voting on authorization for a rescue mission as we speak. But we need to do this correctly, through proper channels. How long will that take? Hours? Days? Maya doesn't have that time. The vote should be complete within 12 hours. Just wait. 12 hours might be the difference between life and death for my daughter, Javier interrupted. I've made my decision. Before the president could respond, he made a cutting motion to the communications officer, who ended the transmission. Sir, Commander Lin said quietly, the United Earth government could court-martial everyone on this ship. Javier nodded. Yes, they could. And yet no one left. No one left, he repeated, looking around at his crew. Their faces showed determination, not fear. Because they all watched the same footage I did. They all saw what I saw, a human dying to protect her child. And they all feel what I feel. He turned back to the viewport where the stars waited. Engage the jump drive, Commander. Set course for Proxima Centauri. Commander Lin nodded. Course set, sir. The other ships are matching our vector. As the Judgment's experimental drive powered up, Javier thought of Elena's last words. Tell your father I love you both. He hadn't spoken to Elena in months before her death. Their divorce had been difficult, careers pulling them in different directions, but they had always been united in their love for Maya. I'm coming, Maya, he whispered. Hold on. The jump drive engaged, tearing a hole in space ahead of them. The EDF Judgment plunged forward, leading an armada of Earth's finest ships. Behind them, the United Earth government scrambled to respond to what looked like a military coup. Ahead of them, 3 days away, waited an alien world where a human child ran for her life through dark tunnels clutching her mother's research tablet, while crystalline beings searched for her. Earth was responding with judgment and fire. Maya Dominguez Reyes pressed herself against the cold wall of the maintenance tunnel, trying to breathe quietly. Her mother's tablet clutched tightly to her chest. She listened for any sound of pursuit. The emergency lights cast everything in, a dim red glow. Do you think they're gone? Whispered Jen, a boy from her science class. 4 other children huddled with them in the narrow space, all who had managed to escape when the Proximian purists attacked the colony's main dome. I don't know, Maya answered truthfully. But we need to keep moving. 2 days had passed since her mother's death. Maya still saw it every time she closed her eyes, her mother standing tall, protecting her from the crystalline aliens she had spent months studying and admiring. Now those same beings hunted them through the colony's underground network. Maya led the small group deeper into the tunnels. Dr. Chen, one of the colony teachers, had found them the first night and shown them safe hiding places. But this morning, when they'd gone to meet him at their usual spot, he hadn't arrived. Only his blood-stained ID badge remained. We need to find the communications hub, Maya said. Maybe we can send a message to Earth. The main comms center is in the central dome, Zhen reminded her. We can't go there, it's where most of the purists are. Maya nodded, thinking hard. My mom mentioned an emergency backup system. Something about direct quantum entanglement. She activated her mother's tablet, careful to keep the screen's brightness low. Elena had been the lead xenobiologist, but she had access to most colony systems. Maya had watched her mother input passwords countless times. The tablet glowed to life, showing dozens of research files. Maya scrolled through them, looking for anything that might help. One folder caught her eye. Proximian language matrix classified. Curious, she tapped it open. Inside were hundreds of files, audio recordings, and video clips. Her mother had been studying Proximian communication more deeply than anyone knew. The most recent file was dated just 2 days before her death, titled Breakthrough, Emotional Concepts Translation. What's that? Asked Amy, the youngest of their group at only 7 years old. My mom's research, Maya said, opening the file. She was trying to understand how Proximians think. Dr. Elena Reyes appeared on the screen, her face animated with excitement. I've finally done it, the recording began. The translation matrix is complete. We've been approaching Proximian language all wrong. They don't just communicate with light and sound. They communicate with emotional resonance patterns. Their concept of family isn't based on genetic connections like ours, but on light-sharing memories. When we explain our protective instinct toward our children, they interpret it as possessiveness, not love. Maya paused the recording, a plan forming in her mind. I know what we need to do. The children made their way through the tunnels, following Maya's directions to a small maintenance station marked Emergency Communications, Authorized Personnel Only. The door required a high-level access code, but Maya remembered watching. Her mother input it once during a colony tour. Inside, dusty equipment hummed quietly. A small quantum entanglement array, connected directly to Earth's defense network, sat unused in the corner. Can you make it work? Jen asked, keeping watch at the door. Maya studied the controls. Maybe, but I have a better idea. She connected her mother's tablet to the colony's internal broadcast system. I'm going to talk to the Proximians first. Are you crazy? Jen hissed. They're trying to kill us. Not all of them, Maya insisted. Just the purists. My mom always said most Proximians are peaceful. They just don't understand us. Using her mother's research, Maya began composing a message in the Proximian light language. She worked for hours, translating human concepts of family, protection, and sacrifice into patterns that the crystalline beings might understand. Almost ready, she said, as the other children dozed, exhausted from days of hiding. I just need to. A sharp sound from outside made them all freeze. Crystalline tones. Proximians were in the tunnel. Hide, Maya whispered urgently, pushing the younger children behind equipment racks. The door slid open. A tall Proximian figure filled the doorway, its crystalline body refracting the emergency lights. Maya recognized the particular light pattern. It was Shimmer of Truth, her mother's research partner. Young Maya Light, the translator on the Proximian's chest, produced the approximation of human speech. You are alive. Maya stood her ground, though her legs trembled. Why are you hunting us? My mother trusted you. Shimmer of Truth's body dimmed. Not all hunt. Many mourn Elena teacher. Purists control main systems now. They believe human young dangerous after sacred memory crystal destruction. It was an accident, Maya said, tears filling her eyes. I never meant to break it. The Proximian moved closer, light patterns shifting in what Elena's research identified as sadness. I know, but purists use accident as reason for long-desired cleansing. Other Proximians disagree but fear speaking against purists. Maya made a decision. I need your help. My mother found a way to explain human concepts to your people. If enough Proximians understand why she protected me, why humans protect their children, maybe the purists will lose support. Shimmer of Truths. Crystals brightened. What need from me? Help me broadcast this message, Maya said, showing the translation she had created using her mother's research. To all Proximians. The alien being studied the light patterns on the tablet, crystals, chiming softly in surprise. This, correct patterns. How human young know our deep resonance concepts. My mother understood, Maya said simply. She always understood. With Shimmer of Truth's help, Maya connected to the colony-wide broadcast system. Taking a deep breath, she activated the message. A complex sequence of light patterns projected through every crystal communication node in the colony. In the Proximian language, it told a story of how humans created new light, children, from their own being. How this new light carried memories forward, like Proximian memory crystals. How protecting this new light was not possession, but the deepest form of connection. How Elena teacher had given her light to preserve Maya's, just as Proximians preserve their most sacred memories. As the message played throughout the colony, Maya activated the quantum entanglement communicator. It could send only a short message, but it would reach Earth instantly. This is Maya Dominguez Reyes at New Hope Colony. Some of us are still alive. Mom is gone. She died protecting me. I'm trying to make peace with the Proximians who don't want to hurt us. Please don't start a war because of what happened to Mom. She wouldn't want that. She hesitated, then added, Dad, if you can hear this, I'm okay. I'm using Mom's research. She figured it out. How to talk to them. I love you. The message sent, with a soft ping. Across the colony, Proximians watched Maya's light pattern message. Many began to shine in the pattern that Elena's research had identified as understanding. The moderate faction, led by Shimmer of Truth, grew bolder, challenging the purists with their own light speech. 3 days away, aboard the EDF Judgment, Admiral Javier Dominguez received an unexpected transmission from the quantum entanglement, a ray. His daughter's voice filled the command center, bringing both hope and a moral challenge he had not anticipated. Maya was alive, but she was asking for peace, not vengeance. Admiral Javier Dominguez replayed his daughter's message for the 5th time, his face illuminated by the soft blue light of the display. Please don't start a war because of what happened to Mom. She wouldn't want that. The command center of the EDF judgment had fallen silent. Every officer and crew member watched their admiral, waiting for his response. The armada of Earthships would reach Proxima Centauri in less than 12 hours. "Sir," Commander Lin said quietly. "What are your orders?" Javier closed the message display. His daughter was alive. She was also asking him to show mercy to the beings who had killed her mother. What would Elena have wanted? She had given her life to protect Maya, but she had also dedicated her career to understanding the Proximians. "Prepare a tactical infiltration team," he finally ordered. "We're not going to bombard the colony from orbit. We're going in to extract our people." Relief crossed Commander Lin's face. "How many teams, sir?" 6. Small, fast, with stealth tech. Javier brought up the colony schematics. "We'll insert through these maintenance ports. Primary mission is to locate and extract Maya and any human survivors." "And the Proximians?" Lin asked. Javier hesitated. "Engage only if fired upon. Maya says some of them are helping her. We'll sort out the guilty ones after our people are safe." A message alert flashed on the main screen. "Sir," the communications officer called out. "It's President Quan again." This time, Javier accepted the transmission. The president's stern face filled the screen. "Admiral, the Security Council has been in emergency session since your departure. I've just been authorized to inform you that your mission now has official sanction." Javier raised an eyebrow. "That's unexpected." "Public opinion forced their hand," President Quan replied. "The footage of Dr. Reyes's sacrifice has united humanity in a way I've never seen. We've also received messages from other species in the Galactic Council, questioning whether humans are too emotionally volatile for interstellar society." "What was your response?" Javier asked. President Quan's expression softened slightly. "We sent them the unedited footage and asked a simple question. Would your species do any less for your children? It sparked quite the debate." She paused, then added, "Your orders are to extract our people and avoid all-out war if possible. But Admiral, bring your daughter home." "Yes, Madam President," Javier replied, ending the transmission. He turned to his officers. "You heard her. Let's bring our people home." The Earth assault shuttles approached Proxima Centauri B silently, their stealth systems rendering them nearly invisible against the rust-colored planet. Inside the lead shuttle, Captain Mira Santos checked her team's equipment one last time. "Remember," she told the 5 soldiers with her, "this is a rescue mission, not a revenge operation. We locate the survivors, extract them, and avoid engagement whenever possible." The soldiers nodded, their faces serious beneath tactical helmets. They had all seen what happened to Dr. Reyes. Many had children of their own. "Approaching drop point," the pilot announced. "Local scans show minimal activity near the maintenance entrance. Looks like most Proximians are concentrated in the main dome." Captain Santos activated her comms. "All teams prepare for silent insertion. Team Alpha will secure the entry point. Team Bravo will locate the human survivors. Teams Charlie through Echo will create diversions if needed. Team Foxtrot will establish a secure evacuation route." The shuttle touched down gently on the planet's surface, a kilometer from the colony. The teams disembarked, moving quickly across the alien terrain. Red dust swirled around their boots as they approached the colony's outer perimeter. "Contact," whispered Lieutenant Park, raising his hand. "Movement at the maintenance entrance." Captain Santos signaled for the team to take cover behind a cluster of rock formations. Through her tactical visor, she could see a tall, crystalline form standing near the hatch they needed to access. "Proximian," she confirmed. "Single entity." "Permission to neutralize?" asked Sergeant Chen, raising his pulse rifle. Santos hesitated. Admiral Dominguez had ordered minimal engagement, and Maya's message indicated some Proximians were allies. "Hold fire. I'll approach alone." Before her team could protest, Santos removed her helmet and stepped out from behind cover, her hands visible but her sidearm within easy reach. The Proximian turned toward her, its crystalline body reflecting the red sunlight in dazzling patterns. A translation device on its chest activated. "Human soldiers come. Expected." The mechanical voice sounded almost relieved. I am Shimmer of Truth, ally to Elena Teacher and young Maya Light. Santos felt a surge of hope. You know where the human girl is? Yes, young Maya Light and other human young hide in secure place. I guide you. The Proximian's crystals pulsed with what Santos recognized from briefings as urgency. Must hurry. Purists search also. Santos called her team forward. Admiral Dominguez, this is Captain Santos. We've made contact with a Proximian claiming to be friendly. Says its name is Shimmer of Truth and knows where your daughter is. Shimmer of Truth? Javier's voice came through her comm. Maya mentioned that name in her message. Elena worked with it. Proceed with caution, but follow its lead. Guided by the Proximian, the Earth teams entered the colony through the maintenance hatch. Inside, the corridors were dimly lit with emergency lighting. Shimmer of Truth led them through a maze of tunnels, occasionally pausing to emit light patterns into the walls. What's it doing? Lieutenant Park whispered. Communicating with other moderates, Santos guessed. Creating a safe path. After 20 minutes of careful navigation, they reached a sealed door. Shimmer of Truth placed its crystalline hand against a sensor panel, and the door slid open. Inside, a small group of human children looked up in fear that quickly turned to hope. Maya Dominguez Reyes stood in front of them protectively, her mother's tablet in her hands. Earth Defense Force, Captain Santos announced, removing her helmet. We're here to take you home. Maya stepped forward. Is my father with you? He's on the command ship in orbit, Santos replied gently. He sent us to find you. Maya nodded, then turned to Shimmer of Truth. We can't just leave. The Purists are planning to destroy the entire colony, to eliminate all human presence. They've accessed the reactor controls. Santos touched her comm. Admiral, we found your daughter and 5 other children. They're safe. But we have a situation. The hostile Proximians are allegedly planning to overload the colony reactor. Get them out of there now, Javier ordered. Sir? Maya's voice cut in as she approached Santos. If they destroy the colony, all the moderate Proximians will die too, and the radiation will poison half the planet. We need to stop them. There was a pause on the comm line. Then Javier asked, What do you suggest, Maya? The 10-year-old girl held up her mother's tablet. Mom's research. She found a way to communicate with them that they truly understand. I've already reached many of the moderates, but we need to broadcast to all Proximians at once. How? Santos asked. The main communication array in the central dome, Maya explained. But that's where the Purists are. Admiral Dominguez's voice came through the comm again. Captain Santos, adjust mission parameters. Primary objective remains. Extracting the survivors, but add a secondary objective. Secure the central dome communication array. Sir, that would require engaging the hostile Proximians directly, Santos warned. I know, Javier replied. But my daughter is right. We can't leave this planet until we've stopped whatever the Purists are planning. We came to save human lives. We might need to save Proximian lives too. Maya looked up at the communication device, tears in her eyes at the sound of her father's voice. Dad? I'm here, Maya, Javier answered, his normally commanding voice softening. Your mother would be so proud of you right now, and so am I. As Captain Santos organized her teams for the new mission, Maya turned to the other children. We're going home, but first we're going to finish what my mom started. We're going to make them understand. Outside the room, more Earth soldiers arrived, guided by other moderate Proximians. The infiltration had succeeded, but the true challenge, reaching the central dome and stopping the Purists, still lay ahead. Maya clutched her mother's tablet as she moved alongside Captain Santos. The Earth soldiers formed a protective circle around the children as they made their way through the dimly lit tunnels toward the central dome. Shimmer of Truth and 3 other moderate Proximians led the way, their crystalline bodies emitting soft light. How much farther? Santos asked, checking her tactical display. We approach main junction, Shimmer of Truth replied. Beyond 3 paths to central dome, all guarded by Purists. Maya studied the colony map on her mother's tablet. There's another way, she said. Through the environmental control ducts. Mom showed me once during a colony tour. Said it was her secret path if she ever needed to check systems without disturbing anyone. Santos looked at the young girl with newfound respect. Can you guide us? Maya nodded, tracing a path on the tablet screen. Here, it's narrow, but we should fit. Admiral, Santos reported through her comm. We are taking an alternate route to the central dome. Your daughter is proving quite resourceful. In orbit above the planet, Admiral Javier Dominguez smiled despite the tension. She gets that from her mother. The combined group of humans and moderate Proximians found the access panel Maya had indicated. One by one, they crawled into the narrow maintenance shaft. The human children went first, followed by the soldiers. The taller Proximians had to contort their crystalline forms to fit, their bodies making soft, chiming sounds as they squeezed through. Through the ducts, they could hear purists communicating in the corridors below. Maya listened carefully, occasionally consulting her mother's research on the tablet. They're talking about the reactor, she whispered to Santos. Something about a final cleansing. After 20 minutes of careful movement, they reached the end of the duct, a vent opening into the central dome's communication center. Santos peered through the slats. 4 purist Proximians stood at the controls, their crystal bodies pulsing with harsh, angular light patterns. I count 4 hostiles, she whispered into her comm. Request permission to engage. Negative, Maya interrupted before her father could respond. Let me try something first. Before Santos could stop her, Maya had pressed her mother's tablet against the vent. It displayed a complex sequence of light patterns, Elena's translation of human emotions, into Proximian language. The effect was immediate. The purists turned toward the vent, their bodies flashing in what Maya recognized from her mother's research as confusion and alarm. Now, Maya whispered to Santos. The captain nodded, and her team burst through the vent, weapons ready. The purists raised their crystalline arms, sharp edges gleaming. Stop! Maya shouted, scrambling through the vent after the soldiers. She held up the tablet, displaying more light patterns. We don't want to fight. Look at this. Understand us. The purists hesitated, their crystal bodies vibrating with uncertainty. Behind Maya, Shimmer of Truth and the other moderates emerged, adding their own light patterns to Maya's message. For a tense moment, no one moved. Then, the tallest purist stepped forward, its translator activating. Human Young uses light speak. Of Elena, teacher, it said, sounding surprised. How possible? My mother understood you, Maya replied. She spent years studying your language, your emotions. She was trying to build understanding between our species. Yet she died protecting you, the purist stated, proving humans value offspring above cooperation. Maya shook her head. No, proving love is stronger than fear. Look at her research. She translated our concept of family into your light language. The purist examined the patterns on the tablet, its crystal body gradually shifting to softer angles. This, complex, not mere possession of offspring as thought. No, Maya agreed. It's about connection, continuation. Like your memory crystals, our children carry our history forward. That's why we protect them so fiercely. While Maya engaged the purist leader, Santos's team quietly moved to secure the communication array and reactor controls. Through her comm, Admiral Dominguez heard everything. Sir, Commander Lin reported on the flagship. The other purist faction has detected our teams. They're mobilizing toward the central dome. Javier made a swift decision. Deploy teams Delta and Echo to intercept, non-lethal measures only. He hesitated, then added, and prepare my shuttle. I'm going down there. Admiral, Lin protested. Protocol states, my daughter is down there. Javier cut her off. And she's doing something important. Something Elena would have wanted. I need to be there. 20 minutes later, Admiral Dominguez's shuttle landed outside the colony. With a small security detail, he made his way through the tunnels Maya had described, guided by Santos's transponder signal. When he reached the central dome, he found a remarkable scene. Maya stood at the center of the communication array, surrounded by both Earth soldiers and Proximians of both factions. Her mother's tablet was connected to the main system, projecting Elena's translated light patterns throughout the colony. "Dad!" Maya spotted him and ran across the room, throwing herself into his arms. Javier held his daughter tightly, tears in his eyes. "Maya, you're safe." "Mom's research works," she said, looking up at him. "They're starting to understand." The purist leader approached, its crystalline form now emitting gentler light. "Admiral Human, your offspring shows wisdom beyond crystal age." Javier kept one arm around Maya, his other hand near his sidearm. "She gets that from her mother, the woman your people killed." "Dad," Maya said quietly, "Mom's last words to me were, 'This isn't their fault.'" She understood even then. Javier looked down at his daughter, seeing Elena's determination in her eyes. A choice lay before him: continue the path of retribution or honor Elena's final wish for understanding. Before he could respond, alarms blared throughout the dome. "Proximity alert," Santos called out. "Something's activating in the colony infrastructure." The Proximians, both purists and moderates, began emitting distressed light patterns. "What's happening?" Javier demanded. Shimmer of Truth's crystals pulsed rapidly. "Ancient defense system activates, not our technology, from those who came before." On screens around the dome, strange symbols appeared as machinery long buried beneath the colony hummed to life. "The planet had previous inhabitants," Maya explained, consulting her mother's notes. "Mom found references to them in Proximian histories. They left automated defense systems, which we just triggered," Javier realized, "by bringing an armed fleet to this world." The purist leader's translator spoke again. "System targets, all. Non-native life. Proximian and human alike will cleanse planet surface." Maya looked from her father to the Proximians, then at her mother's tablet still connected to the communication array. "We need to work together to stop it. Mom's translation matrix. It might help us understand the ancient system's control language." Javier faced a critical decision: trust his daughter's belief in cooperation, or retreat to the safety of his ships in orbit. Looking at Maya, at Elena's eyes in their daughter's face, he made his choice. "Captain Santos, contact all Earth teams. We're staying to help." He turned to the purist leader. "Your people know this planet better than we do. We'll need your knowledge." The purist hesitated, then extended a crystalline hand in what it had learned was a human gesture. "Together against common threat." As sirens wailed and ancient weapons began to target both species, humans and Proximians gathered around Maya and her mother's research, their only hope of understanding the threat before it was too late. The ancient defense system rumbled beneath the colony, sending tremors through the structure. On screens throughout the central dome, alien symbols flashed as dormant weapons prepared to cleanse the planet of all non-native life. Both human and Proximian. Admiral Javier Dominguez organized the combined forces. "Captain Santos, secure the perimeter. Lieutenant Park, establish communications with the fleet." Maya worked frantically at the main console, her mother's tablet connected to the colony's systems. Shimmer of Truth and the purist leader, who called itself Sharp Edge of Purity, stood on either side of her, their crystalline bodies providing light as she worked. "Mom's translation matrix is identifying patterns in the ancient language," Maya explained. "But it's incomplete. The symbols keep changing." Sharp Edge of Purity chimed softly. "Those who came before used shifting pattern speech like our ancient light ancestors. Memory crystals from deep time might hold key." "Where are these memory crystals?" Javier asked. "Sacred cave, 5 units distance, but..." The purist's light dimmed. "Only crystal-born can enter. Human bodies would trigger defense death." Javier looked at Maya, who was absorbed in her mother's research. Then he made a decision. "Sharp Edge of Purity, take Shimmer of Truth and retrieve these memory crystals. I'm trusting you both to return." The two Proximians regarded each other, age-old divisions momentarily set aside by the greater threat. They nodded and departed, moving swiftly through the colony corridors. "Sir," Captain Santos approached, her expression concerned. "Sensors detect energy buildup in 5 locations around the colony. Appears to be some kind of plasma weapon charging." Through the dome's transparent ceiling, they could see the Earth fleet in orbit. Commander Lin's voice came through Javier's comm. "Admiral, we're detecting massive energy signatures on the planet's surface. Should we begin evacuation procedures?" Javier watched his daughter working at the console, her face showing the same determination Elena had always displayed when faced with a seemingly impossible problem. "Negative, Commander. Hold position. We're working on a solution." Hours passed. The ancient weapons continued charging. Sharp Edge of Purity and Shimmer of Truth returned with several small, dimly glowing crystals that they placed carefully around Maya's workstation. "Memory crystals contain old speech patterns," Sharp Edge explained, "from time when those who came before still communicated with our ancestors." Maya connected the crystals to her mother's tablet, which began processing the new data. "It's working," she exclaimed. "Mom's matrix is adapting to the ancient language patterns." On the console screens, the alien symbols began to resolve into recognizable commands. Maya's fingers flew across the interface, applying her mother's translation protocols to the ancient system. "The weapons target anything that doesn't match the original biological patterns of this world," she explained. "But if we can convince the system that both humans and Proximians are authorized life forms..." A deep rumbling shook the colony, stronger than before. Warning lights flashed throughout the dome. "Energy buildup at 80%, Santos reported. "Whatever those weapons are going to do, they'll do it soon." Maya looked up from the console. "Dad, I need to access the primary control node. It's outside the colony in what Mom's notes call the Ancestor Spire." Javier checked the tactical display. "That's 3 kilometers away in the open. Too dangerous." "It's our only chance," Maya insisted. "The system won't recognize remote commands." Before Javier could respond, Sharp Edge of Purity stepped forward. "I will take young Maya Light. My crystal form can shield from radiation." "No," Javier said firmly. "She's my daughter. I'll take her." Sharp Edge's translator produced what sounded almost like a sigh. "Admiral Human, now understand your species' protection instinct, but my form better suited. This is logical choice." Maya looked between her father and the Proximian. "Dad, Sharp Edge is right, and we need your military expertise here if this doesn't work." Javier saw Elena's practical wisdom in his daughter's eyes. With great reluctance, he nodded. "Captain Santos, prepare a transport and escort them to this Ancestor Spire. Lieutenant Park, you're with them." As preparations were made, Javier knelt beside Maya. "Your mother would be so proud of you, I am too." He hugged her tightly. "Just come back safe." "I will, Dad," she promised. "Mom's watching over us." The small expedition, Maya, Sharp Edge of Purity, Lieutenant Park, and 2 soldiers, departed in an armored transport. They raced across the red terrain toward a tall, twisted spire visible on the horizon. In the colony dome, Javier coordinated with his fleet, positioning ships to intercept any weapons fire from the ancient defense system. He watched the transport's progress on the tactical display, his heart in his throat. "Admiral," Commander Lin's voice came through his comm. "Energy levels at 95% and climbing. Estimate weapons activation in 10 minutes. At the Ancestor Spire, Maya stood before an alien control panel, her mother's tablet in hand. The structure hummed with power, crystals embedded in its walls glowing with increasing intensity. "Hurry, young Maya Light," Sharp Edge urged. "Time limit approaches." Maya connected her mother's tablet to the ancient interface. The translation matrix began processing, converting her commands into the ancient language. On the screen, progress indicators slowly advanced. "It's working," she said, hope in her voice. "The system is accepting the new parameters." Back at the colony, alarms blared as the energy readings peaked. Javier gripped the edge of the console, watching the tactical display where his daughter's position was marked. "Energy levels at maximum," Santos called out. "Weapons activating." Across the planet, 5 massive energy beams shot skyward, converging, in orbit. Then, instead of striking down at the planet's surface as expected, they formed a protective shield around Proxima Centauri B. Maya's voice came through the comm. "Dad, we did it. We reprogrammed the defense system to protect all life. Forms currently on the planet, not just the native ones." Cheers erupted throughout the dome. Humans and Proximians alike celebrated, their differences momentarily forgotten in the shared relief of survival. Hours later, Maya returned to the colony, exhausted, but triumphant. In the central dome, representatives from both species gathered, as Admiral Dominguez prepared to address them. "Today we faced extinction together and survived together," he began. "What began as a mission of judgment and fire has become something else entirely." He looked at Maya, standing proudly beside him. "My wife, Dr. Elena Reyes, died protecting our daughter, but her greater work was understanding your people." He turned to the assembled Proximians. "Her research created the bridge that saved us all." Sharp Edge of Purity stepped forward. "Proposed new agreement between species, named for Elena, teacher who gave light for offspring, the Elena Covenant. And so, on the planet where Dr. Elena Reyes had died protecting her child, humans and Proximians created a new approach to interspecies relations, one based not on cold diplomacy, but on shared values of protection and sacrifice." 6 months later, Maya stood with her father at a memorial built at the spot where her mother had died. The place had been transformed into a crystalline garden where human children and young Proximians played together, their laughter and light patterns intermingling in the alien sun. The EDF judgment remained in orbit, no longer a weapon of war but a permanent embassy. Admiral Dominguez had accepted a new position as Earth's ambassador to Proxima Centauri. And Maya, wearing both her mother's research tablet and a small crystalline pendant given to her by Shimmer of Truth, had become the youngest human Proximian, translator in history. As father and daughter watched the children play, Maya said quietly, "Mom would have loved this." Javier nodded, his arm around his daughter's shoulders. "She did love it, Maya. This was her dream all along, understanding between different worlds." Across the garden, Sharp Edge of Purity's translator spoke as the former purist addressed a group of visiting diplomats from Earth and other alien worlds. Human protective instinct, once thought weakness, now recognized across galaxy as strength. Not simple emotion, but complex commitment to future generations. Through Elena Covenant, all species learn from human example. Maya smiled, tears in her eyes as she listened to the Proximian speak her mother's words, translated through her mother's research. A human had died protecting her child, and Earth had responded, not just with judgment and fire, but ultimately, with understanding and wisdom, changing the course of interstellar relations forever.